Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's myself, CultureCams. As you can see, I got a smile in my face because whether we're position rivals or not, two of the rivals have lost today, man. Two games. Arsenal lost to Newcastle 1-0 and Bournemouth beat Man City 2-1. But before that, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications on. Hey, we are here, man. We're inside. We're inside. By the way, you guys go check out my TikTok. I'm going absolutely nuclear on that app. Make sure you go and follow me on there as well. But let's get straight into this. Let's start with the game just happened now. So let's start with Manchester City. And I want to talk about City as a whole. You know, City as a whole. What a week it's been for them. They got a Ballon d'Or winner. Wow, the third Ballon d'Or winner to win in the Premier League since Michael Owen, Cristiano, and now Rodri. So it's all been talks about Rodri. And again, it's going to be more talks about Rodri because of his absence. But I want to talk about that in a greater scheme. But first and foremost, let's credit Bournemouth. Bournemouth were absolutely fantastic today. And really and truly, if we're keeping it all the way 100, Bournemouth should have actually won this game probably by 4 or 5 goals. I'm not even joking. Bournemouth, the amount of transitions that team had on one-on-one opportunities to get at them, and they just kind of slowed the game down or they were hesitant. But that's what happens when you're playing against the best teams. You start overthinking. You start doubting yourself. You don't know if you should go left. You don't know if you should go right, if you should go forward, if you should go backwards. Always happens. I want to give a massive shout to Semenyo. Honestly, watch out for that player. Jamie Redknapp is always talking about him. And I said, you know what? It's like Jamie Redknapp is his agent or something. So I said, let me just actually take a good look at this guy. And honestly, every single week I have seen him, I've been impressed. I am not lying to you guys. Every week I have seen this guy, I have been impressed. He has drive. He has strength. He's quick. He can go left. He can go right. You know what I mean? He's a threat on goal. He's also selfless. Like, he creates for others. Really good player there, man, that can make a step up. In no disrespect to Bournemouth, but that's a player that I think can go to another level. Now, I'm not saying maybe go to the top team. You never know, though. You never really know. Who knows? It really depends on how you deploy them. You're looking at some players like Mbeumo. I think Semenyo's in that kind of box, you know. Somebody that might end up being a 40, 50 million pound signing soon. So keep an eye out on that one. Big shout out to Areola, because what he's doing at Bournemouth. Bournemouth are one of them teams. They're one of the smallest teams in size in the Premier League. And I always just think every year, I'm just thinking, when is their time? When is Bournemouth's time to go? When is Bournemouth's time to leave the Premier League? Like, you know, it's eventually going to come. And it just hasn't come. Big credit to Areola, man. Honestly, top gaffer. He's a very underrated gaffer, actually. And what he's done, when you're looking at what Lopetegui's come and done, and maybe some other managers that might be Spanish, that come from other leagues and stuff, it's not always the greatest thing, but he's made it look pretty easy. So again, he's another manager where if maybe any of these top 6, top 7, 8 teams start losing managers or dropping points, maybe he's someone that they should look at now. You know what I mean? I think he's starting to put himself in that mold, into that box. If something happened at Chelsea, if something happened, well, we just got a new manager, Amorim. If something happened to Slot, who knows? It's not going to happen, but let's say it did. I think he's somebody that could potentially be someone that teams should look at. And, you know, if something happened over there. But let's talk about Man City, man. Honestly, like, I think we need to stop just saying Rodri's gone. It's more than that. We call Pep Guardiola the greatest manager of all time. Well, not for me. I call it Ferguson. But let's just say a lot of people have him as 1 or 2. Let's just say this 1 or 2, right? Are we really going to say his struggles are just down to Rodri being out? And this has actually been something that's actually quite annoyed me for a while. Like, even when City were winning the league and Rodri was out, and then they'll lose, and then people will say their record with and without Rodri. Should the greatest manager of all time really just be relying on one player for the whole system to work? That player could be a Ballon d'Or level player, but that should not be the case. It shouldn't be reliant on one man, especially when you're looking at the quality that Manchester City have, the quality in and around their team. And yes, they had injuries today in terms of KDB's not there, Jack Grealish, Savio. They're missing some players, 100% obviously Rodri himself. But let's talk about City as a whole this season. Like, we have to be honest. Like, if we're going to say it about Arsenal, we have to say it about Man City. City have been pretty stale. They have been pretty stale. They have been pretty boring. they look like they don't know what to do when they're in attacking positions. And yes, teams play low blocks against them, and it's not going to be easy. But usually City feel like they got the answer. Gundogan, he hasn't really come in with the... when he came back, I was like, wow, City have got a top 10 player in the league back again. And hasn't really worked out that way. I'm even looking at him thinking he's not offering anything at all. Vardio is their biggest threat. Phil Foden, what are you doing out there? Haaland, another game where I feel like he's just in the box waiting for opportunities and it's not going to come. Doku came on and made impact, but him, what would you be doing these days? Is it all really just, let's just wait until KDB's back and firing? Because even when he was there, it was still a bit, doesn't feel like vintage Manchester City. And yes, we may say this every single year. There's always a moment we say, it's not Man City, it's not Man City. And listen, I'm not saying they're not going to win the league or them writing them off. But I do think each year City are getting worse. I do think each year they're getting worse. And that's just my honest opinion. You guys know, I'm not afraid to speak my opinion. My honest opinion is I think they're getting worse. And each year, the quality of the team is actually getting lower. I do think Man City this summer need to go big on a Florian Wirtz, on a Jamal Musiala, on a Tchouameni, just bring in some higher level quality. In my opinion, who's the best players in the world that you guys look at right now? City should be after about 4 of the top 15 players in the world football right now. They really should, because I do think they need a little bit of a freshen up. And I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, wow, if nobody punishes them, like if they let this City team win the league again for the 5th year in a row, we have to really start evaluating how we see this Premier League. Because I feel like every single game I watch City, they might have lost these games. Teams are getting at them. Teams are one-on-one every single game. It's definitely not the Man City. Defensively, it's a mess. Offensively, it just doesn't seem as cohesive and fluid and fluent as it used to be. Honestly, I feel like there is a worry there for Man City. But it is up to everyone else to punish them. It's well and good saying that, but if you don't punish them, then what's the point? What is the point? It doesn't really matter at all. So they need to be punished for it. They really do need to be punished for it. That's down to the rest of the other 19 teams in the Premier League, That really is down to them. So when I'm seeing people say, oh, Pep, we have to be fair. If we're going to say some people are questioning, why does it take just for Odegaard to be missing and the system collapses? That's on Arteta. Let's keep the same energy for the Rodri discussions. We've seen the win percentage with and without him and blah, blah, blah. Think it should be the same. Think we should keep the same energy there. I do want to know, what do you guys think a solution could be for Man City in terms of getting their attack fluid again? Because I'm looking at it and I remember I was having a discussion with my boys and we were talking about the best attacks in the Premier League. And I was like, well, if you have Erling Haaland, you're obviously one of the best ones in the league, right? But then I was like, when you actually look at the actual quality of their attack in terms of to score goals, Grealish doesn't score goals. Doku doesn't score goals. Savio, we're still learning about him, very good player, but you're not going to call him a goal scorer. It's just Erling Haaland. Bernardo, are we counting him as an attacker? He just roams around. Foden, are we counting him as an attacker? Maybe we could count him as an attack, but he's not in the front 3. So I'm just looking at it and I'm like, they lost Julian Alvarez, of course. Didn't replace him, which I was shocked about. I do think City needs some revitalizing, and I do think they will dip in the market in January. I actually think for the first time, I think it'll be the first time in a few years? I think it might be the first time in a few years that they would have dipped into the market in January and actually tried to improve their squad. So that's something that's a concern in my opinion. Of course, FCM is out tomorrow, so we're going to talk in depth. I'm going to say more things on there as well. So make sure you guys tune into FCM on DR Sports. You know what time it is. Let's talk about Arsenal though, man. I think Arsenal are facing the same situation as well. I'm looking at Arsenal and my actual thing is I actually think, and I'm just going to say, I think the 22-23 season, I really think has scarred Arteta. I think it has scarred Arteta, man. Since then, that collapse that Arsenal had in that title race, since then, Arsenal have gone to the kind of, how can I say, I don't know what word to use. They've kind of gone to this rigid kind of solid kind of base where they kind of beat teams maybe more methodically and, they grind out some results and then obviously the set pieces and they'll beat you physically and they'll win the duels, which of course, You know, when you want to be a better team, I remember there was a big difference between 17-18 Liverpool and 18-19 Liverpool and 19-20. Each year it did feel like it was getting a little less entertaining, but they were becoming a better team. I can't confidently, hand on heart, say Arsenal are a better team now than they were in 22-23. And if I'm an Arsenal fan, that will be concerning for me. Because when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, we've spent money. You know, we bought Declan Rice. We've bought Moreno. We've bought Sterling. Brought in Sterling. We bought Havertz. We've brought in Calafiori. So it's like Timber. You know, so you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, we've brought in players, but I don't think necessarily Arsenal are a better team than they were. Now, it depends on the league state. They can go and win a league. Doesn't mean it has to be better than the team before. You know, some of Chelsea's best ever team didn't win the Champions League, and their worst ever team did when they were deemed finished. So it doesn't really matter in terms of it. That it does matter on your era or the league state in winning the league. But I'm just looking at it from the eye test. The Arsenal 22-23, when you're looking at the football that they were playing, it was fast, it was exciting, it was fluid, goals were being scored. And yes, last season they might have scored more goals and conceded less, but even last season, up until about the March times, I think they went on 1 month or something where they scored nearly 20 goals in like 4 or 5 games. But up until then, it was still a little bit rigid. I think Arteta has gone a little bit too left. It's gone a little bit too left. It's gone a little bit too safe. It's gone a little bit too rigid. Because now when I'm watching it, and I saw some stats news, they posted Saka completed 0 dribbles against Lewis Hall, who was brilliant, by the way. Lewis Hall, Livramento was brilliant as well. But they just give the ball to Saka. Teams start realizing, oh, they haven't got anything else left. We're going to double, potentially even triple. Saka's going to try and cross it in. And that's about it. It's just give the ball to Saka, give the ball to Saka, give the ball to Saka, and hope and pray. And when I'm looking at, yes, the absence of Odegaard is massive, and I'm happy that it's happening because Odegaard started getting a little bit disrespected by some fans. I always say loud minority. It's not all Arsenal fans. So Arsenal fans that are watching, I know it might not be you, but there was a little minority, but they were very loud. That was, he gets in Saka's space. He's in the way. You know, look at the half space. Bringing videos of them on the break and his pass not going. He's too safe. Arsenal need him. That's a stone cold hard fact. Arsenal need him. However, there should be more solutions in the team. There should be more solutions. Kai Havertz, maybe there's going to be times where he might need to do a little bit more on the ball. Because right now, they're using him as like some battering ram. You know, goal kick, he'll go there, win a header, crosses. You guys are trying to use him for the headers. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe he needs to start offering more quality on the ball. Trossard, this is what they were saying. You know, when he starts, it's not the same. He's been starting 5, 6, 7 games. And it's like, But at the same time, I don't think he's a number 10. I think he's somebody that will have to be either on the left wing or maybe even in the false 9 kind of area. I prefer him in the false 9, kind of just sniffing it out. Kind of like Jotas and them type of players. Just sniff it out. But I mean, we can't just look at... We can look at the manager, as I've mentioned, because I do think it's gone stale. Looking at the whole... I think like maybe where's the fullbacks that are flying forward? I think that side of the game is kind of going. I remember when Ben White was going forward and it was Zinchenko coming in and playing all them passes, Partey in the midfield. It was very fluid. Obviously, there's Xhaka. It was a little bit different, but it was very fluid. Now it's a little bit stale. But then I'm looking at it. There is players that are absolutely letting things down. And some people say Arteta's letting them down. But I'm looking at people like Martinelli. Now, I've not rated Martinelli for years, and I've been very vocal about it. People try to silence me. People try to get onto me. I've got all the receipts. And it turns out I was right. You know, the guy's an average talent, you know, can score an eye for goal every now and again. But at the moment, it's just absolutely dreadful. And then these are the type of guys that Arteta's having to put his hat on. He's having to rely on them. And he's absolutely letting down Arsenal as a club and the fan base. He's been poor. He's been beyond poor. It's horrible. And some people say, look where he picks up the ball. No, I saw him pick up the ball in 1v1 situations today, and Livramento just pushed him to the side as if he's not even there. Treated him like a little boy. But I'm still saying, You know, some people started saying, oh, the Nwaneri, look, he didn't really do much when he came on. Start the guy. Start him. Don't give Nwaneri 30 minutes, but give other people 30 games to try and cast your judgment and try and say, this is why he doesn't play. He's not ready. Don't give him 30, but give them 30 games. Nah. That's what people that don't believe in youth will say. You got a top talent there. He should be starting games. Arsenal need a spark. Arsenal need something different. They need a bit of individual brilliance. They need a bit of creativity. They need someone with an eye for goal. Nwaneri's right there. I would even be getting Miles Lewis-Skelly starting too. Arsenal needs something fresh, just for a little bit. Just a little fresh. Get the confidence back up. Get the blood flowing again. I would be doing that, personally. But hey, I ain't Arteta. I'm not a licensed coach. But I'm looking at it. But then the thing is, the reason why you then start to look at it and start saying, oh, you're going to point the blame at these people is that you bring in on loan Raheem Sterling, Moreno, Calafiori. I've said it on FCM and I'll say it again. Arsenal wasted that window. I can see within 2 seasons, Moreno being surplus to requirements. Sterling's going to go back. And Calafiori is a good player. He's a decent player. I think that was a waste of a window. And then I don't know if that's on Arteta, if that's on the Cronkies, who it's on. But I don't think that's enough for you to go and try and win a league. But lastly, just quickly and very briefly, big shout out to Nottingham Forest. I'm going to talk on FCM, as I said, people. Big shout out to Forest. Liverpool, we're going to talk Mo Salah again. Inevitable, man. What a goal, by the way. What a goal. Cut in, boops. Sorry. Good night. Guys, listen. When you have a player of that caliber, you always have opportunity of trying to win the league. Shout out to Arne Slot on what Liverpool are doing at the moment. Nobody expected this, so don't downplay it. Everybody was getting ready. We were all rubbing our hands and licking our lips. Ooh, the Klopp era. He said, yeah, karma. So big respect, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. Guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe. It's myself, CultureCams. Hey, I'm about to go and watch Wolves v Crystal Palace. I'm way too much of a consumer, man. Way too much of a consumer. But as I said, hit the likes on your way out, people. Would really appreciate it. It'll get the algorithm going. Drop a comment as well. Let me know what you think. It's myself, Coach Karen. Follow me on all social platforms, and I am